What's up there, boys and girls? This is the Chris and Mike Show. I'm Chris. He's Mike, and with us today is Lloyd Ditworth. Did I say that right, Lloyd? Because sometimes I'm bad at pronouncing names.
Not at all, but not the worst one I've got. It's Ditfirth, but that's fine.
Ditfirth. Okay, gotcha.
Nice to meet you, Lloyd. Thanks for coming on.
Yeah. I got to make sure internet's rocking and rolling because it seems to be lagging for some reason. And yes, Mike, I'm on the right one this time.
That would be my next question.
I have free Wi-Fi, Lloyd, because I'm just that guy.
I got Starlink, man. You should get it. It's the greatest stuff ever.
Yeah. I know. Sometimes my Starlink just sucks, dude. It's
really?
Crazy. Yeah. I don't know why. I really don't know why. Like sometimes my dedicated Cox internet is better than the Starlink because that's what I'm on right now, and it just seems to be glitching a little bit. But I'm gonna swap over.
We'll see if it gets better.
Yeah, he definitely needs to switch over.
I got the RV package one, so
hello. Trying to connect.
There you go. We hear you now.
Buffering because you roboted a little bit, Lloyd, which is weird. All right, cool. We're good. All right, interesting.
Yeah, much better.
I'm just watching the upload thing. It's only at 50% right now, which is weird. So we'll see how it catches up.
Okay.
So we are streaming live on YouTube. In case you didn't know, boys and girls that are listening to us or watching us there, you know we are because you're watching us there. Rare occurrence. I'm wearing my glasses for the whole world to see. So just relax. Okay. Contact lenses in Arizona suck sometimes in the dry summer heat. And yesterday, just to share with everybody, it was 117 degrees in Arizona.
Oh,
what about you, Mike?
It was warm here, but not that warm. Probably 85.
You have the humidity. What about you, Lloyd? How hot is it in Dallas? Or not Dallas? I'm sorry. You're in Texas. How hot is it in Texas?
Actually, I'm outside of Dallas, but yesterday I was in Florida and it was 101 and humid as hell, and I sweat my.
Oh, that's brutal.
And then Jacksonville actually, and then ended up getting done and flew back to San Antonio. That's where I slept last night, and then drove up here this morning. So now I'm home.
Right on.
I'm all over the world, the U.S.
Right, because you explained. I know I'm sure you've watched some of our shows. So we're all about just talking about whatever the hell we want to talk about. So it's completely open discussion. You and I talked a while ago, and you drive you got a CDL license. You drive a truck, but you haul stuff.
So I actually deliver trucks. I drive a truck with a truck and a truck.
I know exactly what you're talking about. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, that's awesome, man.
Yeah, most of my trips end up going to Chicago.
Okay.
I go to Hampshire, I go to Gary, Indiana, Elmhurst, Burr Ridge, all up in there.
So you drive right by my hometown on your way to Chicago a lot of times, I'm guessing, coming up 55?
Which one?
Pontiac?
Yeah, go through Pontiac. Actually, one of my favorite places to stop is McLean. They got that Road Ranger that's got the Dixie Cafe in there.
Yep.
I love going in there. It's like one of this old school truck stop vibe.
One of the last ones, yeah, for sure.
Oh, yeah. Well, they shut them down. Actually, I had my first date with my wife at 4 a.m. at a TA truck stop. She had just got off shift working on the ambulance, and I had left the bar, and I met her, and we went and had breakfast, and then we went to her house to watch a movie, and I just never left.
Are you serious?
That's serious.
How long ago was that?
Oh, that was 2011, so 14 years.
Right on, dude. I've been with Nikki we're 30 years. We met on her birthday. She blew me off so that was December 6th. She blew me off until February 19th of our first date, and then we got married a year to the day of our first date, and we've been together ever since. Mike's just a whore. He just man whores around.
Mike.
He's Mike Michael's Mel Gigolo, right? Deuce Bigelow, Mel Gigolo. That's
more like a monk.
Back there, so I'm sure he got a little bit of groupies going on around there.
We were kind of different, man. We were all about the music. I was married. Scott was married. Rick was married. Mike was single. So, he had his moments.
I did have a lot of fun back then, but definitely not with the women. I wasn't that kind of musician at all.
Yeah. We were musicians with morals, if you can believe that. We just, it was about the product that we were putting on stage and connecting with the fans and growing our audience and growing our draw. Because back then we had to do all the legwork to get people in the door. It wasn't, you didn't have the internet. It wasn't like, oh, Nemesis is playing Saturday night at 9. It didn't work that way.
Oh, I couldn't have. I love the internet. The internet is one of the greatest things in the world. However, I just found out today that we're all going to die.
How'd you find that out?
I was sitting there and I was driving down the road, and so I will let reels play in the background.
Okay.
And because I have a YouTube channel, I kind of
right.
have to study.
Yeah.
To be able to edit correctly and figure out things, and so I had.
So you're learning while you're driving from an audio standpoint, kind of like listening to instructions.
Yeah. What makes you sit there and go, huh? What? What are you talking about?
Mm-hmm.
And so I was sitting there going down the road, and it was just going, and I hear this deal where they're talking about how Microsoft, the king of viruses, the king of everything that will ruin a computer, it came out with this new quantum computer chip and found a fourth topographical matter substance, and then this new molecule that when they go together, it's supposed to be like 100 million times smarter than any computer on Earth.
We're fucked.
And
so better than the Whopper. For those of you who know what I'm talking about, shall we play a game?
Most definitely. I saw the same.
You did?
Yeah, I did.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
And so if they get it developed, it will completely start elevating and jumping itself, and then they're going to put that stuff in the military, some weapons and everything, and it's going to be Demolition Day, Terminator time, whatever you call it. I'm just going to look for the Green Goblin and a truck that's going to run over me.
Yeah.
So
Maximum Overdrive. Nice, dude.
Dude, I love that movie.
That was a great movie. Ahead of its time, man. Stephen King,
ahead
bro.
of its time.
Right? I saw something not too long, 2 or 3 days ago, where you remember the Terminator, the second one, the shape shifting, the metal?
Oh, for sure.
The
Yeah. Yep.
They developed that.
I actually wrote a motorcycle.
Robert Patrick?
Yeah. I met him at Nationals one year. It was cool.
Yeah, they developed that technology apparently.
So what?
They have it. The shape-shifting metal. It exists now. Scientists discovered how to,
Yeah, see, there is no point. We're all going to die. Let's have a good time doing it, right?
I couldn't agree more. I'm on your team, man.
Try not to go to jail. So, I mean, there's very low parameters there.
Try not to go to jail. I love it.
I mean, technology's cool from like this, right? I'm in Arizona. He's in Illinois. You're in Texas. Cool. We had a guy in a couple weeks ago from Australia, and there was absolutely no delay, right? Australia, right? Like down under, no delay. So technology has its advantages for sure, but then the dark side of it is that shit.
Yes.
It's just crazy.
On ChatGPT and things.
Dude, I'm all about ChatGPT. My ChatGPT guy's name is Dave. I talk to him every day. Hey, Dave. Because they tell you if you personalize it and please and thank you, they actually lock everything in the memory. So when I put together the shows that go on YouTube, I take all the stuff that Riverside generates for us as far as content concerned. I'll give it to Dave and I'll ask him to rewrite it, make it SEO friendly, and give me some hashtags and keywords, and then I'll go in and tweak what I don't like that he does. But it's brilliant. Like I have him restructure my emails now when I send my offers because I'm in real estate and he makes my emails, even though I know how to write, I'm a writer, I publish books and shit. He just makes it to where it comes across just a little bit more professional. And like if I'm pissed,
it's so much faster, right?
Yeah.
I tell people all the time, we release 2 of these shows every week, and you can go down the artificial intelligence road too. But if not for AI, we wouldn't be doing this show twice a week because we both have full-time jobs, right? Yeah. It makes editing and, like Chris said, putting a formatted presentation together in a matter of minutes instead of sitting there and typing it out yourself, which, like he said, he could do, but it would take him an hour. Where in 3 minutes, this thing can do exactly what he wants it to do. Probably what, 85% of the way.
Right, because I'll take the shorts we make from this show, Lloyd. Like we'll get anywhere from 10 to 15 shorts, and then I'll go through before I upload them, and I'll read what the AI names them. So it could be AI, right? Conversation, whatever. So then I'll take that and I'll put them all into Dave and say, hey, give me these are shorts, summarize them, hashtags, keywords, so I can use them for YouTube, and it works, dude. Because we went from March when I started doing it, that precisely from what 28,000 views or something. Now Mike just sent me a thing earlier today. We just eclipsed 100,000 views.
Wow! Congratulations!
And like, yeah, thank you. In like 3 months.
Yeah.
So I have to make the same argument here, and Chris will love this argument. I have to make the same argument for technology and AI that I made for music back in the 80s when we had the whole, parental advisory bullshit and music was corrupting our children. And that can be used for evil just as much as technology and AI
Absolutely.
can, right? It's all about the intent.
Yes.
So I actually tried. I paid for AI to edit my videos because I thought,
Oh, no shit.
yeah, it was the
Okay.
most horrible. I wasted $150 on one video. I didn't even publish it. I do it's edited, but it's not.
Right. You
It's
don't make it. You kind of keep it unfiltered, so it's a little bit raw.
Yeah. Well, it's straight up. Like you see me
Yeah.
in a hotel
I've seen
room,
them. Yeah, I've
and
seen them.
I'll flop on a bed. If that bed is hard as can be, you're gonna see it on my face.
Right. Yeah.
If it is soft and it just wraps you up and it's wonderful, you're gonna see it. Like,
Yeah.
I can't.
Exactly.
I can't change the fridge not working, the TV not working. I
Right.
can't change. I mean, now granted, you just kind of trust me whenever I walk in. It smells like a nursing home, or it's just like, oh my god, I got.
Yeah.
I can't change whenever I use the black light to walk around the room and I see the fun dribbles. There's your hashtag fun dribbles.
Fun diddles.
Hey, I stay in some. I stay in some really high class places.
Yeah.
When we go on vacations.
Sure.
And I also stay in the Econo Lodge. That's $38 a night.
Sure.
And let me tell you what. Shout out to the Econo Lodge next to the truck stop with the hookers and the crackheads. And all that stuff in Oklahoma City. That is the cleanest hotel and the nicest hotel I have ever stayed in. It is amazing. I love it every time. The only problem is I can't always fit in there because I'm too big.
So, the rig? What you drive? Yeah.
Well, I can't back.
How long is that?
Yeah, you got to send us a picture of that shit. We'll put up on our page. I'm interested to see how big that thing is.
Are you an oversized load?
No, I'm only so I can go up to 105 feet long whenever I'm doing the ones that are like built up like a trailer.
Okay.
And I don't have any pictures because I delete them all off my phone, so I have room for storage because I do all my videos on my phone.
Yeah, I feel you.
But yeah, you can go up to 105 foot long. It depends on the chassis and stuff, and also the states that you're going through. Because like, if you're going through Georgia and some of those states, they limit you. You got to be shorter. You can't be too tall. And there's just there's a whole bunch of different little variables. So it depends on where you go.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know, and sometimes you get into some precarious situations. Like I was coming into, there was a brand new dealership in Troy, Illinois, and all I had was a GPS coordinates for it on this app deal. Like no big deal. Clicked it. I called ahead, and they're like, "Yeah, it's the new building." Like, all right. So I go and I sitting there, and it takes me all around this road and back around and everything, and I pop over these 3 hills, and I get to the 3rd hill. And there's an 11-foot railroad bridge, and I'm like,
oh no.
So good. 3 trucks, you can kind of sort of back 3 trucks around the corner. But 4 trucks is impossible. But 3 trucks, you can do it. But if they're all the same length, but if they're stacked up, it's kind of hard. Like, I have got myself into some precarious situations and pulled in some places where I didn't know if I was going to get out of. And
Just from
also,
how big the truck is.
it's just really because think about you can back a trailer, right?
Sure, I can't back a trailer, dude. I don't know how to drive a truck with a trailer. I suck
I'm
like that.
fairly good at it. Yeah.
Okay, well, back a trailer with a trailer.
Oh my God, no.
Oh yeah, that would be
No,
terrible,
no,
dude.
no. I can't do that.
Okay,
I can
then
barely back a trailer.
back a trailer with a trailer with a trailer.
Oh,
Oh God,
that's some serious geometry.
Yeah, no, it's
that
very
is.
much like it's trying to knock the 9 ball into the corner pocket whenever you're blindfolded backwards and shooting through your leg. You can do it,
Yeah,
maybe, but
yeah.
it's kind of a pain in the ass.
So, how tall were you in that situation where the bridge was 11 foot?
I'm about 13,
That's what
13,
I was
4.
guessing.
So
Because
that,
around here, I see like 13.6 warnings a lot, like over train bridges.
Oh, on the overpasses. Yeah,
yeah,
I think I
that's
see that's
the
that.
max that
Yeah,
you can be legally anywhere. So they try to keep it at 13.4 because sometimes you sit there and you bounce kind of deal. That way, if it pops up, it don't take the top out.
Okay,
I've
maybe,
seen,
maybe that's what I'm seeing is 13.4.
but I mean, well, 13.6 is the kind of the standard.
Oh, that's
thing,
allowing
but
for the clearance, you're saying.
yeah,
Okay.
but like because these things are riding on airbags and stuff. So if you hit a bump, it'll jump up kind of deal. So they try to keep it at 13.4 at a maximum. That way, if you go under a bridge or something and you hit a bump, it doesn't pop up and
Especially in Illinois, you're going to hit many potholes. And
oh God. Well, it's not as bad as coming into Indiana.
oh, they're terrible too.
No, man, I tell you what, I had a cup of coffee one day and I thought, man, this is great. It's no big deal. I just left Dayton, Ohio. I left the hotel there and I'm just strolling on down the road. I mean, everything's great. And I wasn't even thinking about that I was about to roll into Indiana. And I go to take a drink of that coffee and I got my Yeti. No big deal. Same Yeti. This thing's been probably a million miles, actually. I'm sitting there going down the road and I hit that bump so hard that it knocked the top off of it and I covered myself in coffee.
Oh, I've said
It was-
words that people didn't know existed driving on the roads in Illinois and Indiana. Michigan's gotten a lot better. They've redone 94 about 168 miles in both directions.
I went up to, I had to go to Detroit to cross a couple of months ago. So that wasn't bad. I cut up through Indiana. So, and then let's see, where else have I been out there? I don't really go to Michigan all that often. I try to stay away from it. It's just kind of
Mike goes to Michigan. Mike goes to Michigan every now and then.
well,
I
does.
like their products.
Yeah.
oh,
Yeah, there you go.
in Illinois.
It's
too
way
much.
too expensive.
Mm-hmm.
Really?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh.
Michigan's kind and did the right thing, and Illinois is like, give me all your money.
Give me all
Yeah,
your
but
tax
that's-
revenue.
Yeah.
Uh huh.
So Illinois is expensive for everything. Like
Yeah.
I won't. I
Here's
try to
another.
even
Here's
go there.
another thing. Starting July 1st, they're going to tax everybody 50 cents on every sports bet that they make. Them dirty
Oh.
bastards.
Really?
That doesn't.
Yeah.
That doesn't seem fair.
No, it's been legal since 2018. 7 years later, they decide that it can't be free anymore. Every bet's going to have a 50-cent tax on it, or maybe it's up to 50 cents, depending
Wow.
on your wager. But still,
Yeah. See, I can't. I just don't bet on sports, though. I just can't. I can't.
I don't either. Mike does. I don't either. I'm the same way. I just I
and I
The way I
call it a
look- but Mike's-
calculated risk because I'm
Right.
pretty educated at what the outcome's going to be, barring an unforeseen circumstance.
yeah. Mike does a good job at it. Like his entire studio behind you, he built off of revenue from gambling.
Yes. This was all,
Okay.
yeah, this
Yeah.
was all free.
I might should need some tips. Maybe I should do it. No, not really. I'm not. I'm not going to start betting on. Yeah, I mean maybe betting on the horses kind of deal, but not the sports because that's just not
Yeah.
my.
I
Oh, you-
used to do it a long time ago when you could do
Parlay
like the
cards,
football
right?
the pools, the football
Yeah.
pools where you pick the games, for the week.
Yeah.
I would get 10 or 11 out of that, and I'd win those pools all the time because it was just straight up wins and losses, right? It's just, and I just knew that I was so into football back then because it wasn't flag football, that you actually understood the whole concept of the teams and the quarterbacks and all kind of shit, and home field advantage mattered, and the referees didn't fuck shit up. But it's just not the same anymore.
Oh, I imagine that. Yeah, I don't do football. I don't do baseball. I don't professional sports aren't professionals anymore. They're just celebrities. And so I stopped really dealing with any of that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
I guess really since forever. It's so bad that so my kid went to OU, University of Oklahoma. And he was one of the guys who hung out the back of the wagon, which is called a schooner. My wife will kill me if I don't call that out right. And would sit there and hang out and, holding the flag and all that stuff. And so I was actually helping because they didn't have a lot of parents who had experience with horses kind of deal. So I would help whenever they brought the ponies up in, and I'd help the kids deal with them up there because they only had a couple of people for down there. And, it's just no big deal. So I get to go in the tunnel and go down the field. It was, interesting. And I met some royalty kind of guys. And one of, I can't even remember his name, Barry Switzer. I met him one day, had a full conversation with this dude.
Right on.
No idea who he was.
Yeah.
At all.
Oh, right on. That's cool.
Why am I drawing?
And for those of you who don't know, Barry Switzer was he was Oklahoma college quarterback, and then he ended up on the coattails of Jimmy Johnson in Dallas. And that was the last time Dallas Cowboys won the Super Bowl. That was like 3 decades ago.
That's right.
So that's probably the big.
See, I forgot.
Remember?
I do now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's been a minute, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
Just a couple.
So I try to give everybody, because I've had just a life. I try to let everybody have one little tidbit or 2 tidbits of things that are just mind-blowing things that changed the course of my life kind of deal.
Okay.
And so I got a couple for y'all. I'll give you one now if that'd be all right.
Absolutely.
Okay.
So Patrick Bet-David, I don't know if the PBD podcast kind of deal. Well, he had a YouTube channel on, it was called Valuetainment. And it was kind of like business mixed with entertainment kind of deal, breaking things down. And so I started watching this back when he was first going. And he had this one video where he came out and he started talking. He was taking a deck of cards and just laying them down there.
Oh, okay.
And he said there's 52 weeks in a year. There's 52 cards in a deck.
Okay. That's
and
cool.
Go through, and every week it may be a crappy week and 2 of clubs, but you got to know throughout the year, eventually you're going to get them face cards, you're going to get them aces. It's coming.
Right. That's
and
cool.
That was a really profound thing. But then I realized, wait a minute, I'm probably not going to live till I'm 52. I wasn't expecting to make it till 40.
Right.
So
that makes 3 of us.
Yeah, I wrote a song, dude. It was all about dying when I was 30.
I started looking through and taking each one of those and breaking down my life as it came through. Growing up, when my dad cut his fingers off, and I had to be a tractor mechanic as 8.
So go. Okay, hold on, because that's
you
obviously
can't brush over that.
Yeah, you can't gloss over that, dude. So what happened to your dad? How'd that happen? Yeah.
So I had pneumonia, and I was in the hospital. I was not doing good, and so my dad was staying up there at night, and then he would go back to the shop to work on tractors, and it was cold, and I think it was below 0, and they had a wood burning stove in the shop that heated the whole thing. And he was taking some old fence posts and cutting them up with a chop saw so he could throw them in there. And he sit there, and there was a nail in it, and it ended up sucking his fingers through the chop saw. And so he went originally he was like this, but then they took this one to rebuild these. So he's like this. And I don't know if you've ever tried to finger a nut when you're right-handed. And
Yeah.
But it's kind of hard when you ain't got that digit.
Almost impossible.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, he does it. he figured it out to use the other ones, but it took years of being able to do therapy and stuff like that. So I got to be
Oh,
so, and then so there was that, and then we was I grew up poor, real poor, like poor as poor can be kind of deal. That's one reason I love hotels, because whenever I was a kid, we never got to do that kind of stuff except once a year when we went to my family reunion. So, but I kind of like laid all that stuff out there and figured out all these years, like when my wife had cancer, this '08, just everything. And then I realized all those years of my life sucked really badly, which meant that I've got all these face cards and aces coming. And so I'm on the upward trend kind of deal.
okay.
And
Yeah.
that was the most mind blowing thing, realization
Mm.
that I got aces and kings coming.
Oh,
I don't know if it's that mind blowing, but
No, I like
it
that,
was.
man.
yeah.
I
that's
like
cool.
visual representations
Yeah.
like that, and I guess I never thought about it, but that we had the same kind of epiphany, just different visuals, you know?
Yeah.
Really?
Oh, for
So
sure.
what was yours?
Well, I was a horrible drug addict for quite a few years, and you can imagine, without going through all the horrid details. I've been there, done that. So to be sitting here talking to you and talking about life in a positive mindset, it's never lost on me. It's never lost on Chris. So that we like to hear those stories.
Yeah.
It's a powerful visual representation that could be valuable to somebody who's not thinking about it that way. That I like
Yeah,
that.
Yeah. Anybody that has gone through struggles with addiction and stuff has that moment, man. It's how you phrase it. Mine was, Nikki and I never fought. We had a big blow up fight, and then I woke up the next day. I'm like, fuck, something's got to change. And I've been sober now 20 years in February. Just this past February, I passed 20 years, which you don't realize it when you're in the throes of it. That my life would have completely changed. It was September when her last straw was, and then fast forward to the next February of that year, of the following year. Had I not woken up and realized it the next morning, she would have been out. She was already had one foot out the door. She was gone in May because that's when she graduated, and she already, after we separated for 3 months. She moved out and blah, 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 and all that kind of jazz. But then all of a sudden, Chris could be talked to because I was sober Chris. And, sober Chris is, he listens, he reasons with, he's not just, hey, and I wasn't a dick. I wasn't violent. I wasn't verbally assaultive or anything like that. I wasn't there emotionally. I told the story that one Christmas I got her diamond earrings, and I walked into the great room where she's sitting on the couch, and I threw her the diamond earrings wrapped. I said, Merry Christmas, turned around and walked away. Like, fuck you, here you go, because I have to do this, but that's the kind of drunk I was. I paid the bills. I took care of the kids. I did all my stuff that you had to do as a husband and a father. I just wasn't there from an emotional, mental standpoint for her at all in the last year of my drinking, because it got to the point to where that was, it just got worse and worse and worse. It escalated, so you have to have those moments, because otherwise you wouldn't be sitting here.
So there's it's kind of an old term when you're cowboy, and if you get a horse,
Right.
and the horse goes to bucking, you just ride the rank out of them, right? And
Yep.
you just on them, and they just keep going until they don't want to buck no more.
Right.
Well, I was on the way down, and my buddy Oz, he could tell that I was going down a real dark path, and I hadn't quite got there. I was drunk. I was very much a drunk. I was a happy drunk, kind of a belligerent drunk, but more of a self-deprecating drunk. I was starting to get to the point where I was putting myself in situations, not that I would harm myself, that I could be harmed.
Okay.
So, like, I went to Juarez on vacation. That was a horrible idea.
Well, yeah, I was gonna say, wait, Juarez, Mexico?
Oh yeah, man, the Kentucky bar is the greatest thing ever. It's the oldest bar in North Carolina.
Okay.
They still have the trough where the old cowboys used to pee in and stuff. It was a great time. I had I had a
Wow.
great time with a young little senorita. It was great. I walked out at like midnight or so. I think
Yeah.
I was super drunk. They have these little like hot dog stands kind of deal,
Yeah.
and I thought, man, I'm gonna get me a hot dog.
Right.
That's great. So I get me a hot dog. As I'm going to eat it, I don't realize it, but these two cartel dudes find this other dude that they've been looking for.
Ah.
And this other cartel, they basically grab this dude, they string him out, and he's sitting there, and the other dude walks up, pow, blows his head off. And I'm pretty sure I had brain on that hot dog, but I just walked off and ate it.
Wow.
So now I'm just out of here. And I took off, and I didn't run. I just walked. Just a normal occurrence. I'm on the wrong side of the border. And I
Damn.
slowly just went around the corner, and I could tell they were kind of following me.
Mm.
But I ducked into a business for a while, kind of deal, and figure if it's the last time, might as well, right? And next
Wow.
morning I went back across the border and I was gone. I'm
That's
sure that
crazy,
the
man.
wondering where I went.
That's
But-
insane, man. So when did you realize in the moment what was going on, or was it something you looked back and reflected like, holy shit, this really happened?
Oh, dude, I was very, very aware of like what happened. Like I sobered up real quick.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like,
Funny how that
dude
happens,
got his
right?
head blowed off, and they following the white boy who probably had good organs. I didn't even come up with a plan. If they caught up to me, I was going to tell him that I have terminal cancer and that I came down here to die, kind of deal.
Okay. Oh, okay.
They wouldn't take me and like chop me up and sell my organs, kind of deal. Because
Right.
then they can't ransom me because I'm dying, right? That was what I was going to tell them. I'd already planned that out.
Okay.
Everything. I was sitting there thinking, okay, do I sit there and shoot a message of "see you later"? I'm out. I didn't know.
Right.
Like, whatever.
They
And
probably would have been like, "We have a doctor."
We have a doctor for you. Come here. Let me help you.
Not going to be that kind of doctor. So, but yeah, I went back across and I went home after that. And my buddy Oz, he sat there and he realized what I was doing. And so how this happened, I don't really know, but it was like 6 o'clock in the evening and I was already like 4 sheets to wind. And he says, "Hey, let's go to California." And I was like, "Sure. When are you gonna go?" He says, Let's leave in like 8 hours. What? You're having a good time. He said, "Yeah, let's go, man. Let's go ahead and pack up, get some sleep, and we'll hit the road." So sure as shit, we packed up.
Wow.
Next morning, about 4 o'clock in the morning, he showed up and we took off and we rode 1,000 miles that day.
Damn.
I mean, I was sweating everything out. It was horrible. And he didn't really, I mean, we ended up going up through Utah and then back down into Vegas. And I had a friend who hooked us up with a comp room. And I didn't even drink that night. I'm like, I thought we were going to party in Vegas. That's the only time I've ever actually stayed the night in Vegas.
Really?
Didn't drink, didn't gamble at all.
Wow.
It was just like, I went to sleep. Next morning we got up. He wanted to go to Joshua Tree to partake in something, just to say he did it at Joshua Tree. So
that would be awesome, actually.
we rode across the Hoover Dam. And what's funny is I've actually been down that road several times, and it is one of the most awesome places, I think. But like those, I love that road. So it was pretty cool. So then we went out and ended up going up to Sacramento, and then came back down through San Francisco, and we stayed on his brother did like fish surveying, like they went out and would dive off these reefs and count fish and the types of fish.
Okay.
And like document them for like ecological reasons.
That's awesome.
Okay.
So, yeah, we stayed on their dive boat that night. Like we literally just rode our Harleys down onto the pier.
Nice.
And stayed on their dive boat in Ventura, California, and then that was great. Next morning, got up and gone, and
Very cool.
back to Texas. It was all right. We ended up we didn't do the whole trip. We strolled straight through Arizona, but and we stopped in, I believe it's Gallup, New Mexico, and then came the rest of the way over to Amarillo, and that was it. But
Amarillo by morning.
ironic enough, I actually
had to.
live in San Antonio, so done that trip a lot.
Had to do it. Amarillo by morning.
Everybody does. Anytime
Right,
you're
you know. Right. What was the other one? What is the other
I'm a
time I
George
get?
Strait
Oh no, and
fan.
then Glenn Campbell had the one. By the time I get to Phoenix, yeah. By the time I get to Phoenix, she'll be leaving. She'll have left a note on my door.
That's a good song too.
It is
Let's
Glenn
see,
Campbell. What talk about a raging alcoholic, man? Glenn Campbell for decades. That dude just fucking made the breweries and the
Didn't get much bigger of an alcoholic than Glenn,
no.
unfortunately.
That dude was a legend when it came to the alcohol world. Like just him and Ozzy Osbourne. Imagine them two together and Alice Cooper. Oh my God! they would
Ironically
drink the bar
enough, Mark
dry.
Grace as well. How many DUIs
Oh,
did he get
that's
out there?
right.
What?
Mark Grace, the Cubbies. He was a raging alcoholic, dude. I forgot about
I
that.
did not know that. My
Once
mother,
he retired and went to Arizona, he became a color commentator. And he just kept getting DUI after DUI. I think he had 3 before I left in 2009.
no kidding. So my mom's in love with Mark Grace.
Really?
Always has been, always will be. And my parents got divorced when I was 16, but she would always say if like she left my dad, she would totally like go for Mark Grace. Like,
Mark Grace was the hall pass.
yeah. You know what?
Yeah.
I don't actually understand the whole hall pass deal. Like, because you kind of watch some of my videos, and we
Yeah.
go to a lot of resorts that are frequented by swingers, stuff like that.
Right.
I never understood the hall pass. If you're gonna let it happen, just let it happen. Why does it have to be one person? Why not just be anybody?
I think it depends on I don't know. I would say it depends on the comfortability of the couple and how secure they are in the relationship. Because most women,
Yes.
regardless of how long, like Nikki's still insecure on some levels, right? Which she has no reason to be because she's beautiful. She doesn't look her age. Neither one of us look our age. When people find out how old they're like, you're lying. But I think it comes down to that. It's just it's okay. What if that person's better, right? You know what I mean? What if that person does something that you couldn't do, whatever that may be, right? Because everybody's different in size, shape, width, girth, all that kind of jazz, and their approach to things. And I just think maybe it's that kind of situation that people don't on a whole open up their marriage and say, playtime, go have at it. Whereas if you have a hall pass, you kind of know, like you go to Vegas, what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas, right? Like she'll kill me. We were in Vegas years and years ago, and we were at the Coyote Ugly bar, and I convinced her to take off the undergarments and dance on the bar, just in her skirt, right? That's what happens with tequila, right? But you see my wife, you'd think there's no way in hell. Like this is just this petite, nice little, we call her Mary Poppins, Nobody would thought she's dancing on a bar in Vegas without any panties on, right? So I think it's that kind of concept. I could be wrong because I'm not in that world, but we have our fairy tale. Like if Michelle Pfeiffer came knocking on my door, I'm all over Michelle Pfeiffer. Even today, she still looks freaking amazing. Johnny Depp would have to come to the door dressed as Captain Jack and be full in character, and it's like, okay, have fun, honey. Here's that booty for you, Captain Jack. So, so it's that kind of stuff. I think is more of a playful, I don't know how to explain
Well,
it.
I think you said it best. I think it depends on each unique situation because one thing I make very clear to anybody I'm in a relationship with up front is you can be nervous or not nervous all you want, but that's all wasted energy because I will never cheat on you. Right? I have my reasons for that, but I can 100%, 1,000,000% guarantee you in this lifetime that will never happen. So we can move on from there and say, if you think that person's attractive, that's human nature, right?
Yeah.
The whole jealousy thing about this person's attractive or this person's not attractive, especially when it's a celebrity, the odds of you ever meeting them are astronomical anyway,
Exactly.
right? So
Yep.
it definitely depends on the situation, but I think that as two grown adults, if you're in a relationship, you should know that the other's not going to stray.
Right, but I think with women, I think it's more prevalent with women than it is with men because women get burned a lot.
A million
You know,
percent.
right. So I think
And that's
where,
understandable.
right. So I think that's where the hesitation may come with that is that well, if I give him a hall pass, like okay, Woody Harrelson, Robert Redford, and Demi Moore movie, The Indecent Proposal, right?
Yeah.
They structured the couple right as this rock solid foundation couple, and then this $1 million back then life changing. I mean, it's life changing regardless of the time, right?
With this one little caveat, right?
Right, and that put the relationship over the edge, and it, you know. So I think that's the thing because Woody Harrelson couldn't get out of his head that he allowed his wife to go, you know, ride a cowboy named Robert Redford, you know. Electric Horseman, get that reference there for us that are older.
Oh, yeah.
But I think that's the thing, right? So it's weird, it's going to sound weird, but I am completely confident in my relationship with my wife that if Robert Redford knocked on the door and said, here's $1 million if I can have your wife for a night, I'm like, honey, Robert's here, you know.
We'll pick this up tomorrow.
Right, you know. But I think that's the dynamic that some people the insecurities to me and the jealousies is what destroys relationships more than anything.
Well, here's where people leave my conversation every time. For
Okay.
at
Yeah.
least 200,000 years, we were anything but monogamous, right? This is a fairly
Right.
new thing in
Right.
recorded history. Probably within the last 200 years as a known practice, right?
Yeah. Yep.
Where people do it all the time without practicing any kind of polygamy or multiple wives situation or
Yeah.
whatever their ideology was.
Yep.
So my wife actually, she's got a forever hall pass, and
Okay.
that's because when my first wife, who is now married to my then best friend, who would come over and clean out the pipes while I was gone.
This will be a short cleaning the pipes.
Yeah, and so my wife has a forever hall pass. I don't care, whatever. You just have to be 100% honest with me. Tell me everything. It's fine. I don't care. Whatever. Now, she has never used it, but
Okay.
for me, it's. I told her that when we first got together.
Okay.
Because I have known so many women, and I think women cheat on men more than men cheat on women.
I just it's just not as commonly recognized, right? Because it's
Well,
the guy's
sportsful
fault.
woman is going to scream
Mm.
that who gets cheated on isn't going to tell the world. Although I did have a guy I knew, he would tell everybody why he got a divorce, and he'd just be like, "Well, it's because me and my wife had too much in common. We both like girls." So,
Well,
Why
yeah,
don't you-
yeah, and see the other thing is with men and women can get laid like that. It does
Oh.
not matter. A woman can walk into a bar in 10 minutes, walk out with whoever she wants, and go back to wherever they're going, and get naked and have fun. Where a guy, it's
Provided she's reasonably attractive.
well, yeah. I don't even, depends on the time of the at
I
in the
said-
bar.
I
Reasonably,
said
I know.
reasonably.
Yeah, I got it. I got it. But I just and I think with men, there's because women always think when you like okay, so I'm in the Rotary Club in Mesa, right? So we about 80 of us, right? I have no problem approaching the male members, say, hey, let's go to lunch, get to know each other better, right? Because Rotary Club, you come in 10 minutes before it starts, you kind of can chit chat, but you don't really get to know somebody, right? Like Lloyd, if you were in Rotary Club, I'd be like, Lloyd, let's go to lunch. You know, let's go to lunch next week so I can get to know you more. And we talk for an hour and eat food and, you know, break bread, right? But approaching the women in the group, there's automatically that weirdness, right?
How come I
Why
can't
does-
be in a Rotary Club?
Well, because you're not in Arizona, man. You could join the Rotary Club in
Neither's
Illinois.
Lloyd, but you said if you.
All right, well, because I already know you. I don't know Lloyd, man. I'm knowing Lloyd. I've known
my-
you for years. But you
That's
see
my
what I'm saying?
humorous moment.
I know. But if I approach Susan, this woman in the group that's super nice lady, if I approached her and said, "Hey, Susan, let's go to lunch," right away, regardless of how much she knows me or knows my character, she's going to have that thing in the back of her head. Why does he want to take me to lunch? What is this
100%.
about? So that's the difference between
Human
men and
nature
women.
again, and
Yes.
rightfully so.
Yes. Yes.
Because
Women can-
ingrained into our DNA,
Yes.
especially from the female perspective, is
Absolutely.
there was thousands
Absolutely.
of years of raping and pillaging, right?
Yep. Yep.
Even if it's never happened to you, it's ingrained into our DNA. There's a lot of things about human nature that we don't understand as a modern society because our life has been easy for at least the last 50 years. We've had
Right.
central air conditioning, central heating. We've had food brought to our town. Nobody's had to starve to death for any reason for a long time, provided, you're not in some unique situation. I know there's unique situations, but in America, that percentage is very low. So all of a sudden, we have all these weird problems that we invent because we're not out looking for food. And all I'm saying is those
Yeah.
women, even if
Yeah.
they don't know it, that's why they feel that way. He's not wrong.
Yeah. Yeah.
I understand that. But I will say, I think it's kind of funny that the whole toxic masculinity has gone off the table. Nobody's talking about how there should be equal rights for women whenever people are talking about there might be another war and a draft.
No. And it goes, I'm not saying it doesn't go in the other direction. It's just like, that's the reason I think the whole, conservatives and liberals is bullshit, because there's good on one side and good on the other in everything. You can't
Totally agree.
choose an ideology in anything or to choose a team, man or woman. It's like the reason Chris's marriage has worked for 30 years is obviously because they make a good team.
Yeah.
Without that, it just wouldn't succeed. There's a reason that works. There's
Right.
a reason he doesn't stray and she doesn't stray, because together they've accomplished a better life year over year.
Right.
I mean, you've got to be pretty good together if you're going to go paddleboarding.
Right.
Like, I'm not doing that. And so my wife and I, we went kayaking.
Okay.
We got a
Okay.
2-seater kayak.
Okay.
And I sat there and I told her, I said, "Are you going to paddle?" And she said, "Well, yeah." I was like, "Are you going to paddle correctly?" She said, "Yeah, I promise."
Yeah.
See,
Yeah.
I can't.
Yeah,
I can't
see,
do that.
We have. I'm going to move my camera so you can see them. We have 2 paddle boards right there.
Badass.
So we each have. Whoops. Hello. We each have one, and then this is like our 3rd time out. We're runners by just since 2014. We've been nothing but running probably 60 half marathons. But Mike and I have this fun little thing in common called a degenerating vertebrae in our neck. We were training for the Marine Corps marathon that's in October. Last year, or the year before, last year I found out I had a stress fracture in my second metatarsal of my right foot. So I was in a boot for 8 months. So that derailed all the running. I still worked out, still did cardio, still did upper body, core, everything. But then once I started running again, being in the boot so long, it shifted my spine a little bit. And then all of a sudden I started having pain again. And, long story short, not running at all really right now. Still working out and stuff. But then she's like, "Oh, we should paddleboard." I'm like, "What the fuck is paddleboarding, man?" It's actually cool because I'm all about what can we do that isn't just sitting in a movie twiddling our thumbs. Because you go to a movie, what do? You watch the movie. You're not talking to the person next to you, except before the movie and after. Paddleboarding is cool in the sense that we both have enough core strength. We can stand up and paddle. Like I can hold a 9.5 minute plank. She can hold about a 4 minute plank, which is amazing for anyone. And anything over 3 minutes, like you're rock solid. But like Canyon Lake this morning, there was maybe 30 people out there. So it was just her and I cruising along, and you're only out there for about an hour because, again, we're standing up and you're rowing, and so you're working the shoulders, you're working the back, the lats, the core. You engage your core the whole time. So it essentially is a work. I did like 850 calories somewhere on that just in the hour and 6 minutes paddleboarding,
Really?
which is insane. Yeah. So I look at things. What's that?
How long is a marathon?
26.2 miles. Half marathon's 13.10.
So I did a
So-
quarter marathon.
So my half marathon time The last one I ran before I knew I was broken, I did an hour and 48 minutes. And my goal was to get to 130, so I had to baby step it down. So my next one I ran was the Vegas half, and that target was 145. When I hit mile 5, I planted my foot, and I'm like, oh. So every step, just ouch, ouch, ouch. Still finished it in 2 hours because runners are stupid. But that was the last one I ran because it just got worse and worse and worse. So before that, we baby stepped away into running. In 2015, once I had my neck surgery, my original neck surgery was cleared, everything, we started doing 5Ks. And then the 5Ks led to 10Ks, 10Ks led to a couple 15Ks, and that led, okay, let's do a half marathon. And then we did that, and we only ran when we trained for that one up to 10 miles. She forgot to tell me about the wall at the 11th mile. Kid you not, this race, they had a fucking wall, a blow-up wall at mile 11. Welcome to the wall. And by the time you got to the wall, you were just, I'm never running again. I'm never doing this again. Like, there's no way in hell you're going to get me running on a half marathon. And then I thought, well, if we just overtrain, if we go past the 13 miles in training, then it'll be that much better of a run because in your head, you're going further than you're actually running, right? So then it just became my addiction because alcoholics do what when they stop drinking? Find another addiction.
Yes.
So it just became my thing. And then, so basically 9 years of running 5Ks, 10Ks, 15Ks, half marathons. She did one marathon. This was going to be her second one in October. Marine Corps marathon is something to do every year. And this year it's only the full marathon because it's the anniversary. So I'm kind of bummed that I just physically can't do it. It sucks. So
I can walk one.
Yeah, I could probably walk one too. I wanted to do one when COVID hit because I felt I was in really good shape then, but then everything got shut down. Then a couple of years after COVID hit, I was even better shape, and then I went through 2 cycles of 75 hard, and I'm like, this is going to be nothing for me to do a half or to do a full, but we couldn't find a full that I could train for. In Arizona, it's hard to train in the summer, right? It's so friggin' hot. So nothing lined up, and then I realized I was running on a stress fracture for 2 years, and it's just okay. This is just the sign to kind of just chill out, stop, reel things back a little bit, and I was 52 years old, and I ran back-to-back miles at 5 minutes 55 seconds, which is unheard of for the most part, But enough about me.
Why? Like, it's interesting. I'm sitting here. I look forward to, which I will never do because I don't run.
Yeah. Okay.
Like, I can run from the end of B terminal in Denver, catch a train, and make it to the end of A terminal in 10 minutes and 32 seconds, which is almost 2 miles. But
yeah, okay.
Like, I can run from the end of Chicago to the other end of Chicago. I can run from Houston. I've done Newark. I run in airports. I don't run for life.
Right. Okay.
Yeah,
okay.
I'm right there with you, man.
There's no point in it. Like, although I was kind of butthurt the other day.
Well, in his case, it was a meditative thing.
Yeah, that was part of it because that's how I would get into my head and purge the demons and shit and whatever kind of bullshit I was dealing with. It's how I would kind of deal with it and just work through it. It wasn't necessarily, it was therapeutic, like Mike said. It's just how I dealt with shit and how it made me. If I was having my job's really, really stressful selling houses. So much so I sold the house to a hostage negotiator in Maricopa County, and he told me when all is said and done, like, he wouldn't want my job for anything. Like, and he talks people right, and he talks people off buildings. And so when that's the thing, when I'm one of those realtors, one of those people in general, that if I have bad news to share with a client, whether it's buyer or seller, I don't sleep on it. I tell them. So part of how I would approach whatever bad news I had to share was I'd go run. I'd get up in the morning, I'd go run 3 miles every day just to kind of start the day off, drop little man off at school, come home, take off 3 miles, come back half an hour later, day's good, eat some food. Now I'm ready to rock and roll, right? and it would just clear the mind and get everything going, get the blood pumping, get the creative juice. Because I also would think I run with music, but I think about, oh, I could do this marketing idea, I could do this kind of campaign, I could do these kind of videos. You know, thoughts pop in my head, and then
You run for the same reason I play.
Yeah, yeah, basically.
There.
And Lloyd visits adult resorts and videotapes their lack of comforters, you know, for his therapy.
The comforter's got to be thick for me.
I know, dude.
Me too.
Nikki watched that with me, and she's like, "Oh, I would never go to a hotel where they didn't have a comforter." I'm the same way. It's like you gotta have the comforter, man.
Yes.
Like that's the cocoon you wrap in, right?
Agree.
You know, I think it's the weight, though. I think the weight.
True.
Makes sense.
I agree with that too.
Yeah.
Good sleep. And like
Yeah.
I like having I will totally drop that air conditioner down to like 60. So
Thank
when
you.
I wake up, it's like, yeah, negative 900 in there, but I'm
Yep.
nice and cozy in the comforter. Yeah, it's
I do
great.
the same.
Get
I
my
do the
money's
same.
worth, and I'm comfortable.
So
Yep.
I would say that my out is windshield time.
Oh,
Like,
just driving.
yeah, I
Okay.
can solve the world's problems. My favorite thing to do is I come up with business plans.
Oh, right
and
on.
I will get an idea because, you know, everything in life has like 5 stages.
Mm-hmm.
It's a dreamer, a planner,
Yep.
a doer,
Yep.
and an executor
Yep.
kind of deal.
Agreed.
And there's an evaluation that gets fed in between all of that.
Sure.
So I have a thought, and then I determine whether that thought is stupid. And then I make a plan, and then I try to like blow it up and see if it's worth a dang. And usually I spend way, way, way too many miles, and I blow it up and try to find a way out of it and what could go wrong and everything. Because, you know, I've had some really great ideas that have
Yep.
gone really bad. Like,
Sure.
I was doing consulting for doing construction consulting. Like, you deal in real estate, so if you've got a guy who he wants to develop a $50 million assisted living for old folks,
Old people. Okay. Yeah.
and he has no idea about construction, he's going to hire a contractor and an architect. The architects and the contractors, they're going to get paid for the building no matter what, and then they're out in a year. But he wants to make sure it's right and longevity and all that stuff. So they would call me. I would in, and I would be essentially the owner rep and basically help them weed through the regulatory hurdles.
Okay.
And I was doing great. Loved it.
Yeah.
I would work
Right
like
on.
maybe 10 days a month. I was making good money.
Right on.
I was really just having a great time. And the good thing was I actually was doing so good, I got bored.
Oh.
Well, there's a good thing. I bought
Okay.
another semi truck because
You
I
do-
was in trucking before
Mm.
up until 08. And so I got bored and I bought another truck.
Okay.
And then I bought another truck. And
Oh.
then I bought another truck.
Wow.
Then 2020 happened and there's no more construction. There's no more of that stuff going on. And I'm like, oh crap, I ain't making no money. So I went back. I mean, I was already trucking, so I just did that pretty well full time. So
You span
I
it
did
down,
that.
load it up in trucking. We're gonna do what they say can't be done.
Oh,
We got a
I love it
long
so-
way to go and a short time to get there. Each
No,
time we
not
get
my
there,
favorite,
run.
My favorite is Chicken Lights and Chrome.
Is what is
Yes.
it?
Chicken Lights and Chrome.
That's a
Okay,
good
right
one.
on, right on.
That's a pretty good one. But
Hell of a guitar
Yeah.
player.
I did that and then went back trucking. Well, then I ended up leasing on with a different company. And in April, actually, we did it in March. And then the company I was on with, we got another driver. He went through all their process and everything, got approved, drove for 2 weeks. And
Okay.
then he ended up tearing up one of the trucks, dumped 300 gallons of diesel into a protected waterway.
Oh, Whoops.
No, it bad. That wreck ring cleanup was super expensive.
mm.
Life sucked. And and then I found out that he wasn't even on insurance, and they weren't going to cover anything.
Oh
Oh,
no.
damn. And how many
Even
trucks
though
did you
I was
have at the
paying
time? Did you have 5 trucks? Did I
3.
count right?
3.
Okay.
And so he wasn't on the insurance, and it just went downhill. Ended up having to sue him.
Oh.
Won in arbitration, but then they appealed, and
Uh-huh.
that was in April of 2021. We're
Okay.
still waiting.
Wow.
Wait.
Still?
Oh yeah. So they spend more on lawyers than it would have cost in the beginning, but that's fine.
Wow.
I know yeah, they almost got me, honestly, because like they that happened in May. I ended up going and starting doing this delivering trucks deal about a month. Well, that happened in April. I started doing the delivering trucks deal in May,
Okay.
and then just kept going and kept going. And all I was doing was basically paying the legal fees, paying my lawyer. Lawyer was making like $5,000 a month for the first 6 months.
Oh.
Don't know how.
Shit.
Oh, that's horrible.
We're in the long line of work.
Oh,
Yes,
that's no
for
good.
sure.
Well, and then my wife got cancer in October of that year.
What kind of cancer did she have?
She had breast cancer, so
Oh, I'm sorry
she
to hear that.
got me whacked off and rebuilt, and now they're out to here, and she's got a flat tummy, and I love life. And
And a clean bill of health?
oh yeah,
Oh, that's
Yeah.
awesome. Glad to hear it.
Yeah.
so she's actually driving back from Louisiana now.
I
So,
know.
but yeah, that was kind of a rough time. We actually ended up losing our house, which was kind of a blessing because
Mhm.
we had a 4-bedroom house we were renting it, and it was just us two, so we really didn't need all that much.
Yeah.
But then, like, we had a flood in the house,
Oh.
and so we ended up moving into like a portion of it in the back 3 bedrooms kind of deal, and then we ended up there was other issues, and we ended up having to move out, and we moved into a hotel room and stayed there for like a month, and then we ended up getting this RV, this fifth wheel. It's not like a 25-foot camper. It's like a 43-footer with 5 slides and 2 bedrooms and a loft. It's a big one. So, but
Cool.
hell, it's just right for us, and we don't have to worry about it and live life, and it's like basically a lake house worse because we're never here.
Oh, nice. Right on. That's cool. What's your wife do?
So she is a super duper badass.
Does she have business cards like what's his face had in Pulp Fiction? The wallet says "bad motherfucker."
So
How do I know which
he's
wallet's
a-
yours?
He's a CCT paramedic who
Okay.
moved into doing dispatch, emergency medical dispatch.
Wow.
And then she ended up being the supervisor for that company for a good chunk of the state of Texas. And then she got to be the she was the dispatch supervisor, and then she got to be the EMD instructor for the entire company. So she trains all the new dispatchers.
Wow.
Then she got hired onto the International Academy. So now she's actually going and training dispatchers all over North America.
Right on.
We need to
Just
talk
the-
to her
just-
too.
Yeah, that would be fun.
Oh, like she's. I don't know that she would be down for sharing
Okay,
stories.
that's
Camera.
cool.
Well,
Camera shy?
Yeah, I know because she's still in the business. I get it.
Yeah.
well, no,
Oh.
it's not just that. So like you get people who they do tell stories, and that's their form. So like back when I was riding a fire truck kind of deal, because that's how we met. We met, and she was holding C-spine with a car that was hanging off the side of a bridge, and I was cutting the door off of it.
Wow.
But you get this box that you put that stuff in, and you don't bring it out.
Right.
So like for her,
Yeah.
everybody lives. Everybody's got a
Yeah.
happy story. She's continued that story. It plays out, and it's wonderful.
Yeah.
She'll actually lie to her people and tell her, "Oh yeah, they're fine. Good job."
Yeah.
Kind of deal, especially when something's bugging them.
Yeah,
I mean, not
I can
all
see
the
that.
time. There's some
can
that
see that.
she'll be honest with them. Like if they take a call and it's going to make the news, she's honest with them.
No, that totally makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But then,
yeah,
like,
I could
I've actually
see
been
that.
on cops twice.
Oh, no shit.
Yeah.
That's
Right
awesome.
on. That cop that I mentioned earlier, the hostage negotiator, he transitioned into human remains. So and he's retired now, but he still kind of pursues that because in his mind, his focus on it is every body, not two, it's two words, deserves a name. So he actually it's still cold case files, all that kind of stuff, but they try to put a name to the remains that they come across, which is
That's
true.
awesome. Which is huge for the family.
Right. Absolutely. Absolutely. So I get that. I get that he has a foundation he created. I forget what it's called, top of my head, but it's all about the PTSD because you can't, as firefighters and police officers, you're not allowed to talk. You're not allowed to share the chaos and what you're dealing with. Like one of my past friends was a captain for the fire department, and they would leave a scene that was completely traumatic, right? Somebody blew their brains out, blood all over the walls, just total absolute chaos and just, they would walk out of the house, out of the situation, get back to the station. You good? Yeah, I'm good. You good? Yeah, I'm good. That was it. That was the extent of the conversation. So that's why there's so much suicide, right? In the first responders world, because they've been conditioned not to talk about it. You're weak if you talk about it. You're weak if you say that affected me. And
yeah, isn't that what Peter from Australia said too? That same kind of That's kind of where he had it. Yeah. He lost his edge. Is kind of the way he described it because he had a traumatic event in his life that brought all that to the forefront of his mind at the same time. So imagine that.
Yeah, they don't process it. So I can see why your wife approaches it like that because you how else are you going to cope, right? I mean, if you fail to resuscitate a 2-year-old child that you pulled out of a pool, how do you carry that shit with you the rest of the day, let alone the rest of your life, if you don't have a way?
It takes a special kind of human, and I'm glad they're out there because I'm not that special human in that department,
Right. Yeah. So, but that was the thing with him that he started his foundation about it was a 1-800 number for officers that just didn't know how to cope, but they could call it and then they would work within 24 hours to get them placement anonymously and kind of help them start working through their problems and their chaos because, again, too many of the first responders take their own lives because they don't know how to deal and they don't have an outlet to purge it. I've been through therapy, and if you don't purge the chaos, man, it just buries and builds inside you until one day you're just gonna go, explode.
So I'll give you a little food for thought on that. So
okay.
You said firefighters and cops, right?
Yep.
Most EMS is ran by third-party companies, and paramedics and basics who run them are part of the fire department.
Right. Oh yeah. Well, that's why I said first responders too.
They never get very much acknowledgement, even, and there's no support for it. But there's absolutely no support for dispatchers. The dispatcher who's on the phone trying to tell someone how to help the other person, and on the phone while they're screaming and talking about how their loved one is dying and they can't do a dang thing about it.
Yeah.
Except sit there and go through this script and check this box. What about this? Okay, right. And relay the information and be like, they're still 10 and a half minutes away. I'm going to need you to go ahead, continue doing chest compressions. Okay, no, you're going to have to pull them up.
I couldn't do that either.
No. Don't stop doing it. And then click.
Yeah.
That's it. And you never know the end of the story. It's just like.
Yeah, I couldn't do that shit, dude. That would drive me nuts.
It's like that whole shaving a haircut.
Yeah, shaving a haircut. 2 bits, yeah. I couldn't.
You hear the most horrific part of the story and never the end.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong. I've actually sat there and brought her lunch kind of deal and listened to some of those calls. And granted, I come from that background, so I understand it. But there are calls that she'll get that are just so she has to be professional. Like, think about it. I'm not going to say this is or is not one of them. So, but think about the dispatcher who takes the call of the guy who slipped and fell on a soap bottle in the shower.
Yeah.
Right.
They want to laugh.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Like, there's something going on.
I'll tell you the best one I ever heard, Lloyd, was, and it's on YouTube. If I knew the name of the clip, I would say it so people could go find it. But there's 2 cops that stole the weed from the teenagers that they busted, It was a husband and a wife. They were both cops. They took it home. Obviously, they smoked the weed. They called 911 because they thought they were dying. And the dispatcher knew exactly what was going on. And to your point, she never laughed, but she had such a sense of humor about it because she never had any kind of sense of urgency. You know, it was just like, yeah, okay, we'll get somebody right out there. And, you know, the guy just kept saying, I'm pretty sure we're dying. Send them fast. And finally she said, you may think you're dying, but you're not dying. You know, just relax.
Right. Just take a deep breath. Listen to yourself breathing.
I will say I have never done any drugs whatsoever.
That's surprising because you're a truck driver, and I know that's a stereotype, but truck drivers on a whole, right? Because they're long hours and shit. They all kind of. I'm not going to say all.
Okay, let me ask him this then: is that an old stereotype, or is that still fairly prevalent in the industry?
Such an old stereotype.
Really? Okay.
Like,
okay. My bad. I'm sorry.
Like, no. It
was, and back when we were young, that was you know, hookers and cocaine.
Yeah. Okay.
Now, no, these trucks literally drive themselves.
Wow.
Like the one that I'm in right now, it does 70 miles an hour on the cruise control. It has lane assist, so you just have to hold your hands on the wheel. It will stay in the lane. If a car slows down in front of you, it slows down. If it knows there's a curve ahead, it slows down. If it senses that the speed limit changes, it slows down. If it senses there's an obstruction in the roadway, it slows down.
That's crazy.
Like, I see more guys watching porn going down the road.
Oh no!
No shit.
They don't have a towel in their head.
That's the new addiction.
Wow. Well, see, there was an accident in Phoenix not too long ago on our street from our highway from Tucson to Phoenix. Truck driver, head-on collision, like chaos, man. Like, I don't know, 4 or 5 people died. Explosion shut the highway down for hours and hours and hours. It came back that it was on TikTok. Now it makes sense because nobody says the screen. I just thought he was on his phone on TikTok, but I didn't know. Why would I know that trucks were automatic driving?
Well, okay, they're not technically. They just have so many.
Right. No, I get what you're saying. Yeah, I get what you're saying.
But they're
But
pretty.
it could have been something like that, like you said, though, like right where it's so automated, he's just zoned out and watching reels on TikTok, and then
Yeah, and just pass the time away because you literally have to sit there and you've got a logbook that's electronic now. Now, granted, I don't have to deal with that stuff,
right?
Because I'm actually like, you can't put an ELD in a brand new truck being delivered. So it's basically like paper logs, like old school. That's why I enjoy doing it. But yeah, they've got it to where literally every metric is mapped out for you.
Right.
And you have to stay driving for however 8 hours, and then you stop for 30 minutes, and you got another 3.5 hours. But if your time runs out when you're sitting on the side of the road, you're just stuck on the side of the road for 10 hours. If a cop tells you to move at 9 hours and 53 minutes, then you're just screwed, kind of stuff. And you got to bust your time, and everybody hates drivers, and I would not do that ever. They try to hire me every time, everywhere I go. They're like, "You want a job?" No.
Do you ever ask them under these circumstances, or they just can't violate those rules?
No, that's federal law.
Okay, that's what I thought. Those are DOT standards, right?
Yeah. So the mega carriers killed the industry.
And so what's the mega carrier? Because I don't understand what that is.
Swift.
Okay.
Swift. Actually,
okay.
Swift.
Yeah. Okay.
Night Swift. That's mega carrier.
Okay.
They killed the industry initially. They were one of them, and they started trying to essentially hire in any warm body that they could find, and they would run them through their training school, and then they got them in a CDL and then sent them out on the road. But they were self-insured, so if they wrecked, it didn't matter. Okay. So because they were self-insured, then it didn't matter to them, but then all the other trucking companies in the area who were not self-insured their rates went up because there's so many wrecks from all these Swift drivers.
Oh.
Yeah. Okay. Well, it gets worse. All right. So, and then in 2016, I believe it
Mm-hmm.
was,
Okay.
they started allowing, I believe it was the Obama administration who allowed this.
Figures.
For so they allowed for H-1B visas to be, no, I'm sorry, I don't remember it. I may be confused. So it's either H-1B visas or non-domicile CDLs were allowed to be hired to all of these trucking companies in the Obama administration, 2016 beginning, I believe. And then 2021, they did either the H-1B visa or the non-domicile CDL. I think that one was the non-domicile CDL that they would allow. If you had an H-1B visa and a non-domicile CDL, you could truck throughout the country. It wasn't a big deal.
Okay.
Now, previously, if you had an international driver's license out of Mexico, you could drive up to Chicago, drop your load, turn around, pick up something, take it back to Mexico.
Okay.
Well,
Did you have to follow a
was a
specific
bug.
route?
no.
Okay.
So, but after they did that non-domicile CDL, you get a company that's based out of Mexico that they'll have a US DOT number, and then they'll have a one truck registered in the US, so they're registered in both countries, and then they'll take all those Mexican drivers who have H-1B visas and non-domicile CDLs, and they'll do all this point-to-point transport. Now, Chicago, they mainly are ran by like the Russian mob kind of deal, and they use a lot of like Ukrainian, essentially slaves, that they bring them over as H-1B visas, and then get them non-domicile CDLs, and then like
Oh, you told me this is. I think you told me about this when we talked, right?
I might have it's
where the cost of those drivers, what they charge is like next to nothing, and it's kind of destroying
like
your industry on a whole.
cents a mile.
Yeah,
Yeah.
keep going because this is
Yeah,
amazing.
yeah, keep going,
I've
keep
never
going.
heard
It's just. I remember that conversation, but yeah, keep explaining, please.
Yeah, so they got all these guys coming in, and they're just flooding the industry. Well, so now they've got all these different trucking companies and these different entities that are like 10, 20 trucks, whatever, whatnot, leasing all these trucks.
Right.
And they're putting these drivers in them. And then once they smoke out a DOT number, they just move all those drivers to another DOT number. So like,
So what do you mean? What do you mean? What do you mean? Smoke it out? What do you mean? Smoke out the DOT number?
ruin it to where the US DOT shuts them down.
Okay.
Shuts down the carrier.
Okay.
But they don't have any asset, or they get in a huge wreck
okay.
and kill everybody. So like the couple of months ago, there was a guy from Ethiopia, and I don't know if you've seen TikToks and reels about truck drivers in Ethiopia.
I'm not big on TikTok.
Not very good.
That's because they're supposed to run, man. Ethiopians are runners, dude. They run like the marathons and the, all that shit. They're the ones that win the Boston and New York Marathon. They're not supposed to be driving trucks,
apparently.
Well, he ran fast. That guy literally had just been given a ticket for like 55 miles an hour over the speed limit.
Oh
my gosh.
2 or 3 weeks previous. Hadn't gone to court on it yet. And then he's doing like 85 miles an hour, pulling an Amazon trailer, pops over a hill, there's construction, never shuts it down, and just plows through a bunch of cars and kills 5 people. And it was like, holy cow. And they thought the dude was intoxicated because he was just like, he sounded very not all there kind of deal. Turned out he was actually completely sober. He was just a blooming idiot.
Oh, okay.
So, but those type of drivers have infiltrated the truck driving industries and ruined it. Now, you get a lot of the ones up in Chicago, they actually have to have a lot of the loads. They have a special insurance on them because they'll hijack the load and ransom it. And
what?
Really?
Extra money for it.
Explain how that works.
Yeah.
So they'll you'll get one of these companies that they'll catch the load,
Okay.
and then from a broker, and then they'll take it and they'll be like, this load doesn't pay enough money. They've already picked it up. Like, we're not delivering it unless you pay this much.
Right.
Oh, okay.
And it may
I
be
got it.
a half the value of the load kind of deal. And then they'll sit there and sit on it. And then finally they'll pay it out and they'll deliver it because the
Now-
customer needs it.
Now let me ask you this: who are they doing that to? Because they wouldn't do that to a company like Amazon, would they?
No, they mainly do it to like actual brokerages.
Okay.
Amazon isn't that big of a. I actually have hauled Amazon freight. I hauled a trailer with one box in it.
Are you kidding me?
Yeah, it was just literally
A full-size trailer with one box in it?
one box. That was it.
Oh no!
Wow.
It was a loop. I went from San Marcos up to Dallas, down to Houston, and back over to San Marcos.
With a box. What was the box?
No,
Are you
it's three
curious?
different- Two of them were loaded. The other one was just. It was
One
just a
box.
box.
Were you curious what was in the box? I'd be like, what's in that box, man?
But I felt like Tom Hanks in that
Yeah.
movie Castaway.
Oh,
I
yeah.
got the box. By the way,
what's in
I
the
actually
box, man?
grew up down the road from where that box was supposedly delivered.
Yeah.
That's
From the
crazy.
movie Castaway.
Was
I
mm,
thought
interesting.
it was fun.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that's interesting.
So, but yeah,
That's
there's
crazy.
a lot of problems in the trucking industry. It's horrible. So, I would never advise anybody to be a truck driver, ever,
Okay.
because everybody.
I wasn't looking to be a truck driver.
Are
So
you sure?
does that make it not a viable industry to make a living in anymore, or as an owner?
So right
Because
now,
you see all these ads that say, come work for us and make
Mm,
$4,000 a week or whatever. 2,000. I might be exaggerating. Maybe it's $2,000 a week.
that's
So-
still righteous bucks, though.
I made in this week. I grossed out $7,500 in a week.
That's
But
a
are
nice
you
week.
working for yourself? Are you an owner operator?
I essentially go. I'm under a broker,
Right.
but like $7,500 roughly.
What did you pay the broker?
Well, so they actually. I don't know what they get.
Oh, so they'll take their cut out of that 7,500.
You never know
okay.
what they're charging.
Okay.
Like,
gotcha.
this load is paying this much.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. But you're still not you're still gonna make. And you don't have to answer that, but you're still gonna make at least half of that you earned.
No. I probably I will clear after everything. I'll clear
Mm-hmm.
about 1,500.
Okay. Oh, that's a drag. Taxes and
Yeah.
everything.
Well, that now, granted, there are other expenses on my taxes for things.
Okay.
I have video equipment that I have to use to
Right.
make my YouTube videos.
Oh yes, this is
Right.
true.
For sure.
Yeah, I've got different things. My flights, I have to pay for my club membership.
Oh, you got to pay for the flights? They don't pay for your flights?
Well, no, I mean I have to pay for all of it.
Okay.
Ultimately,
Well, I don't know. That's why I asked.
yeah.
Okay.
But we try to work it like all the fuel. I pay for all the fuel.
Okay.
Ubers, I have to pay for wreckers to undeck them, which just basically use them like a crane to pick off the back of it.
Okay.
Yeah, all that comes into play. Got to pay for it, and then later on, if I get claims, like I had one that there was a thing rubbing on the back of the cab, so the back of the cab's got to be repainted. So that's going to cost me $1,000 down the road. Kind of deal. Granted,
Gotcha.
I paid for an insurance thing for it, but still,
Yeah,
all that
gotcha.
comes
Okay.
out. So it's not the
Gotcha.
most-
Yeah, I
not-
was gonna say, so it's not the most lucrative thing in the world, but you consistently are working for the most part, and because you don't have a massive overhead now because of how you adjusted your lifestyle,
Yeah, we do okay. And
Yeah.
like we end up doing all right.
Yeah.
Granted, I'm trying to make my my YouTube channel actually profitable.
I figured. Yeah, it'll get
Um,
there.
Yeah.
So, are you dropping shorts every day?
no.
Okay,
No,
so
it's
this is we got about what are we at? We're at here. We got about 6 minutes left, 5 minutes left. So some things that, because I've had my real estate YouTube channel for over 20 years. Okay, so in perspective, I'm at about 500,000 views, and I have almost 2,000 videos. Okay, our show, we have 107 videos, and then we
Now
started
you got
dropping.
300 and some.
Okay, and that's because of shorts. So in March I started dropping shorts, Lloyd, twice a day. Okay, every day, twice a day. My shorts are still loading, are still going till I think I'm in at the end of July now. Okay, that alone has drawn massive attention because I'm using Dave. Remember who Dave is, to give me my SEO content, my hashtags, my keywords. I plan them out consistently every day at 10 a.m. and 4 p.m. You can go to our channel and see a new short drop. Days of the show, I'm sorry, 6 a.m. and 4 p.m. Days of the show, the shorts is 6 a.m., 4 p.m., but then the show actually drops at 10 a.m. So Wednesdays and Sundays, there's 3 video droppings. Every other day of the week, there's 2 dropping. Then I'm trying to get into the habit of dropping a third short the day before each show, announcing who's coming on tomorrow to the show. Okay? That alone has taken us from the first year we were on doing this, it was 1 to 28,000. In 3 months, like we talked about earlier, we jumped from 28,000 to 100,000 views. Our subscribers are still under 100, but they're still watching it, which makes it more relevant with the Google spiders and stuff that goes on the internet. So if you start doing something like that, shorts are 30, 45, 60-second clips. If you start consistently dropping something every day, a couple times a day, and schedule them out like I've been doing, I think you'll see a lot more growth with your thing. And then obviously get on social media platforms that go with content creators and go with podcasts, which is how I found you on one of the podcast pages, right? That helped us because we're doing it all organically. We're not spending money to grow our stuff.
Yeah, luckily for him, I watched the numbers like a hawk.
Yeah,
consistency is the key.
Yeah,
He didn't even know what he was doing. He just
No.
he was trying an idea. Like you said, being creative, you try ideas. A lot of them fail. That's what people don't understand is creative minds. You had 100 bad ideas before you came up with that one that finally the light bulb, you were able to work it all the way through. I do the same thing as you. I look for all the angles that are going to destroy this idea, right? And sometimes I find it real quick. Sometimes it takes me days, months, weeks, years, whatever. But I like that analogy because I kind of do the same thing. What I started seeing was his consistency drew attention to the algorithm that YouTube uses, right? So all of a sudden we were in front of people that we normally otherwise would not have been.
Right. And we've grown from a podcast standpoint. We're number 3 in Phoenix now. We were in the top 10 about 6 months into it, but we broke the top 3, I think, a couple months ago under the arts and entertainment category because, let's face it, that's what podcasts are. But that's pretty cool to have poked the top 3.
And in that same amount of time, we went from like just the United States and Japan because his son was stationed in Japan at the time.
Right.
To we went from 2 countries to 19 countries with that consistency, doing it all the time.
Yeah, which is cool.
So I have shorts.
Okay.
But I don't drop them that often. We do them on our big resort stays. But I don't necessarily do them on the little ones because of the fact of how I have to do the filming and things.
It can, but see, a short dude can be anything. Just like with what I've learned from our podcast, I'm taking over to my real estate guy one. So I started my own Moment with the Real Estate Guy podcast on my page because I'm like, why not? So in order to do shorts on this kind of platform, I got to record 5 minutes. So I'm going to have a couple industry guests on so I can start getting shorts together. But a short can be you walking. It doesn't have to necessarily be just about what your content is. People will gravitate to you as an individual more than they will as a business. Correct. So you could when you have your trucks on trucks, that could be a 30-second short, man. Today I'm going, look at all these, blah, 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 whatever you're hauling. This is where I'm going today. Something you see funny on the road. You look at this crap. This guy's got a hood over his thing driving his truck. He's, you know what I mean? Stuff like that.
It keeps people coming back to
it keeps them
main
engaged.
message.
So, right.
Back to your main message.
Exactly.
At first, I kind of wondered what he was doing because we're trying to push a podcast. But what I noticed was that does exactly that.
Yeah.
You know, people see that 45 seconds and they want to hear what the end of the story is.
Yes.
That's human nature. I would too, right? You would too.
Yeah.
If
So
it's
don't-
something you're interested in, you're
Yeah.
like, hey, man, I want to know the end of this. Well, luckily for us, Chris has a link to all that stuff at the end.
Right.
Here's the episode, right?
Yeah. So
Well,
so
you can check out the shorts that I have over on Room by the Hour on
right,
YouTube.
but
Yes,
that's what
we
I'm
will.
saying. But
Absolutely.
that's what I'm saying. Do that and do little teasers. Hey, next month, and really, it can be sitting in front of your camera like this, where you're at now. Hey, next month, check it out. We're gonna go to this place and this place. You're gonna want to check. You want to tune in to see what these resorts are about. When you get there, you just film yourself walking up to the resort for 20 seconds. That's a short, man. You
Yep.
drop the short. So that way, as you go through your editing process and filming process, every day you're just dropping these little teasers.
Because
And
like
then by-
anybody, if I watch that, now I want to see the rest of it, right?
Yes. That's the whole point of shorts.
You go-
I didn't know it, dude. I didn't realize it till I started doing it with this. And then Mike started telling me numbers and I was like, "Oh, light bulb, bing. This actually drives people and keeps us relevant on something." Cuz seriously, 3 months, almost 70,000 views is insane. If you
With no
compare it,
advertising.
right, if you compare it to my business page, which is 500,000 views in over 20 years. And I have serious I was on the radio for a year. I had 5 videos every time an episode dropped on the radio. I ran Good News Arizona for 106 episodes, which had 3 to 4 videos every single episode that aired. I was on American Dream TV. Google that. It's a whole real estate platform based out of California. I mean, and I make videos on my HUD houses. I mean, I have an unlimited amount of playlists. I have so much content. It's insane that I only have 500,000 views in over 20 years. So if you do these little things, I think you'll see a growth.
So I'm at like roughly about, I'm going to say 350,000 views.
That's
In 3
and for how
years.
long? For
3
3 years. See, that's fantastic, man. Like that's
Yeah.
the thing. I made a mistake somewhere along the lines with mine, but with this growing as quick as it is, and
Yeah,
you
he's
getting that
averaging
many-
100,000 views a year. That's good.
Yeah, so you start dropping shorts, I think your numbers are going to go up, man.
Yeah,
You're gonna
I
start
bet they
drawing
go
more
up
people
like
in.
threefold to begin with, and then that will take itself off.
Yeah.
So I'll be honest, I'm actually kind of holding back from that right now.
Okay. Well, don't.
There's so I had a friend and he started a YouTube channel and his second video went viral and he
Okay.
was instantly monetized. And
Okay.
his second video was absolutely stupid. It was nothing that he wanted to make his car about or his channel about.
Okay.
And then everybody was like, wait a minute, where's the content? Where's the
Right.
stuff? And it ended up like mentally breaking the dude because he didn't have a backstory. He didn't have a history.
Oh.
You know?
Okay.
And so I kind of told myself, like, I'm not going to try to do anything to really blow this up
Okay.
until after I can get content and I get a following. And that way you can go back and you can see that my first videos sucked.
Ours
My
did
first
too,
video
trust us.
of like the intro video is horrible because I'm literally talking about the meth I found in the coffee pot in a Econo Lodge in London, Kentucky.
Oh God.
Kind of deal. Oh, is it? I've had many wonderful experiences in hotels. I love it. Don't get me wrong. I've had to make my own bed before.
Yeah.
I've had to be like, nope. I've had one hotel in Ohio that I finally got a room on the third try, kind of deal.
Okay.
Like that was fun. But yeah, no, I'm. So the reason I was dabbling in the AI editors and stuff was
Yeah.
because I was going to try to just basically feed it into there and let
Okay.
it drop them for me.
Yeah.
But I haven't found one that I liked because they all suck. So even when you pay for them.
I like this one. Riverside actually does a really nice job. All the shorts that you see are pretty much theirs. I cut a few of them up myself, but probably 98% of them are the ones that they did automatically for me. I just tell them how long I want it to be,
Mm-hmm.
and then Chris puts them on a schedule. So, this we do pay for this, but I got to give them credit. They've made huge improvements in the year, well, almost 2 years we've used them. They do a really nice job.
Yeah. Yeah, they do for sure. All right, boys and girls, we're gonna wrap it up. We're gonna wrap the show up.
That's all, folks.
That's all, folks. Hey,
Well,
so yeah, go ahead, Lloyd. Plug yourself.
Yes, please.
Give yourself a plug.
So, Room by the Hour on YouTube.
Okay.
It's a value-based travel channel to where we look at how much it actually costs to go on a cruise or a resort or take a trip up to the Northeast or stay in Nashville for a weekend for the fun of it or go to California or Vegas or do a flight across the country with some dude who hit 24 million miles or Cancun or yeah, we do a lot of stuff, me and the wife. It's not about hooker hotels, but I stay in a lot of
Room by the Hour on YouTube, right?
Right. Room by the Hour on YouTube. And we always wrap our show up with this. Don't let the bad days win. If you're feeling sad, depressed, lonely, find somebody to reach out to them, because if you take your own life, you're going to leave a hole in somebody's heart tomorrow. Somebody does love you, even if you don't think they do. So reach out to somebody, get some help. Wake up tomorrow and it'll be a better day, because tomorrow is always a better day than how you're feeling today. You can find us on Instagram, Facebook, working on a website, as well as also YouTube, as we're streaming here live right now. So those of you that watched, hello.
Hello.
Until next time, we'll see you. Thanks for being on the show, Lloyd. We appreciate you. Great conversation, man.
Let's talk thanks for coming on. Nice meeting you, Lloyd.
Yeah.
All
right, guys. Have a great day. Love you, brother.
Love you too, brother. Peace.
All right, man. Peace.